Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Crew Show. My name is Jonathan and today I'm joined by my co-host Johnny. Johnny, great to see you with this upcoming Easter weekend. How are you?
Yeah, it's great to be back at the as the long weekend is kicking off, and what a better way to start a long weekend than with a series spotlight, Jono.
I know. So, people of Perth and beyond, we are super excited today. Look, we're always excited, but
Hmm.
why not be excited today? We've got our Mario shirts on, and there's a very good reason for that. We did mention this in the previous episode. This weekend, well, last night indeed, Australia time, Nintendo rolled out a 15-minute direct about the new Mario Kart game, Mario Kart World for the Switch 2, which is everywhere over the internet at the moment. And Johnny and I just thought, what a great opportunity for us to talk about one of our favorite series, Mario Kart itself, and do a series spotlight covering some of the biggest console entries for that series. But before we get into all that, we do have to give our kind of response and reactions to the Mario Kart World Direct. So let's kick that off first. It was a very interesting direct in the sense that this is not something Nintendo does on an often basis. With the console launch, they did show a bit of footage around Mario Kart World, but then they've just followed up with this dedicated 15-minute direct, which I thought was quite short and sharp. There'll be mixed opinions about this direct, I think, going forward, but for me, it was clear that they wanted to highlight some of the key features for the new Mario Kart World game. So there was a huge focus on free roam, which is kind of what we were expecting later in the direct as well, where you can take your cart and just go around outside the actual tracks themselves into the open world. And it looks like there might be some mini quests and some little secrets that you can uncover there, kind of a bit like the Forza Horizon series. So that looks quite exciting. But overall, in terms of new features, there's a whole range of new things from new moves, such as like a mega jump, for example, or wall riding. There are new items like the ice flower and even the coin, the gold shell, which look quite cool. A whole range of new characters, of course, outfits that you can get. And there was more, I think the direct focus mostly on a lot of the like persistent main features that we've seen throughout the series as a whole. So 4 player split screen, the battle mode, which has been included in some previous entries as well. A huge focus on that. But Johnny, you've seen the direct. What were your overall impressions of how it was delivered and the content included, or anything that I've missed?
No, I thought it was kind of cool to see a little bit more of the gameplay. I thought it was good to have just a nice, concise summary of all the different game modes. I was very happy to see that there's a traditional balloon battle mode included. That's always, as we'll get into over the course of the episode today, that's one of my favorite Mario Kart modes. So I was quite happy to see that's still there. But the open world mode, the free roam mode, does look like a lot of fun, and I can see myself getting into that. Um, it just was a good reminder how the visual the visuals of this game are just, they look so good.
Mm.
So getting that, and I kind of was okay with it being kind of a short and sweet prezzo. I didn't feel I needed like 45 minute like deep dive
Smash
on it.
Brothers
Yeah,
2018
at this,
direct on every single mini
especially at this,
move.
no, not at this point in time. I kind of
Yeah.
feel, but especially when there's no possibility of getting hands on for at least another month or so. So I kind of felt, no, that's enough to get me a little bit more excited. To, yeah, make me just tempt me a little bit more with that uh, Mario Kart Switch 2 bundle, and I'm sure that was the purpose of this, is just to get people
Mm,
excited and thinking about jumping on that bundle. Um,
mm.
I had to. The only thing you probably didn't touch on, John, was the cow on the motorbike was enough. It was enough to momentarily take away the focus from the drop the price message in the chat of the live stream. Only
Yeah.
only cow on a motorbike could take the attention away from that for a moment. So I thought that's quite impressive in its own right.
I'm pretty sure every single gaming news website is just going to have the cow on the motorbike in their like YouTube thumbnail or their review or whatever, and that's going to be the one feature that everyone celebrates and looks forward to. I'm kind of, I mean, you and I are very like-minded with these things. I think we find. I thought it was good in that it showed like a bit more of the game itself. Though it went through all the core features, which I think long-term fans might feel like, why are you doing that for? But there's also new fans. There are
Mm.
children growing up or people who are returning to the series after playing it on the SNES and are going, all right, now I'm going to jump in. So I thought it did quite well in that sense. And one thing that kind of keeps sticking out for me is the sense of scale. Even the roads themselves seem a bit wider to
Mm.
maybe accommodate for those 24 races. I'm not sure, but I just felt like these like roads themselves are really wide. And then things just like seeing new power ups and new characters is always exciting. I think it had a good balance between here's some really new features. I kind of did want a story mode in a way or a track builder,
Mm.
but I can see that being added with DLC if there's capacity in the Switch processing system. But coming back to your point about it being a gorgeous game, it looks beautiful. It definitely, I don't like the price tag. Like I'm still not on board with the $114 price tag here in Australia. But I think, like you said, that edges people to go into like buying it as a console bundle and
Yeah.
go, look, I'm going to buy Mario Kart. Yeah, in that sense. Yeah. So that's very exciting. Oh, and Johnny, what did you think about the 15 minutes? Because I thought this is great. I feel like this is something I would like to see personally, even with like Donkey Kong Bonanza or some of their other big titles, if they have something for Christmas. Like, do you think this is something they should do again for their kind of top tier titles?
I kind of think it works. It's just it's a little it it's just to whet the appetite a little bit for the game, and yeah, I kind of think it works to have these little presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it worked for me.
Yeah, I like that little bite size too. It doesn't
Mm.
always have to be that full blown direct. So
Life is
Mario
busy.
Kart
Life
World,
is busy enough. We don't
it
need
is.
can't have like an hour every fortnight. Like it's just gonna suck up too much time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exactly, it'll suck up too much time. And like, you just need that bite to like put the spotlight on and say, this is why you need to switch to. And you don't want to show too much of a game off. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think a presentation like that would work for something like Metroid Prime 4. Just give away too many spoilers.
Mm,
So I think they did
mm.
well here. But that is enough about the Mario Kart World Direct. What we're really here for is like to go back into our memories and talk about like our favorite Mario games of all time, Mario Kart games of all time. Before we do, though, so a couple of key facts about like the Mario Kart series for those who are new or just haven't played the games across the ages. So the Mario Kart games have pretty much been the flagship title for a lot of Nintendo consoles since the Super Nintendo. I think like a lot of Nintendo gamers think about Mario or Zelda or Pokemon, but the reality is, particularly in recent years, the Mario Kart games are the ones that sell the most, and they often because they include that multiplayer component. And there's just a whole range of features that are just beloved about the series that carry on throughout each game. Whether it's just the accessibility of getting into the game and showing, your partner, your family member, or going to a family event and saying, "Hey, let's all play Mario Kart. We can all enjoy that." Even if it's on like 50cc, there's something kind of for everyone there. And then the fact also that it does have that multiplayer component where a lot of games don't. Like you can't just sit down and watch someone play Zelda all day, for example. But the variety of courses, the rubber banding system that lets you catch up when you are falling behind, the scalability and difficulty if you want to go play on your own or if you want to get more competitive with your friends. And then simply just like the attractive, welcoming, kind of vibrant art. And it even makes me think about the most recent entrance where it had entry in the series, the DLC for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where there were tracks from all around the world, from like Tokyo to Sydney. So that there's just like a way that they've appealed to everyone there. But Johnny, I want to ask you, like, why is the Mario Kart series like beloved to you? Like, what kind of stands out to you for someone who's followed this series for such a long time?
I think Mario Kart is just synonymous for fun for me.
Mm,
Like, because I've obviously been playing Mario Kart since its original entry in the series on the Super Nintendo, and I've played most of the mainline console entries on the series since. There's maybe one or two I'm less familiar with, just because I didn't get into that particular generation of Nintendo as much. So yeah, I think it's very pick up and play. It's the kind of game that you can hand a controller to someone who's not a big video game player, and they'll have a good time with Mario Kart. You generally not that complicated. It's very easy to get into, I think.
Definitely. No, I agree. And you can sort of see, like, even with the Switch 2, that this has become the focus, even though people have talked about where's the new single Mario game. The
Mm.
reality is that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was by far the biggest selling game in this most recent generation, so the broadest appeal is there. But Johnny, more importantly than why do you like Mario Kart as a series, tell us what your favorite character is, your favorite power, and your favorite track, because everyone's got a favorite.
Yeah. Oh, had to think about this a bit, but in terms of my favorite racer, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go for Toad.
Oh,
A race with Toad, and I've done that since the OG entry. Favorite track, still to this day, is the Ghost Valley one from the Mushroom Cup in the OG Super Nintendo version. I love all the little cheeky shortcuts that you can take in that track. I love the hilarity of sort of bumping off your rivals off the edge, and it doesn't take much to send them off and need a rescue from Lucky Two.
yeah.
Yeah, Ghost Valley brings out the cheekiness in your Mario Kart style of play. And favorite item, I just love the artistry in placing a banana peel in just the right spot so
You're
that
that guy, aren't you?
I'm totally
You're
that
that
guy.
one. You put it right in front of the coin, or just after the
Yep.
coin, where the coins
Or
come.
right in front of an item block,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
you've got to make your kind of Skiller or Charbitis choice, where you either going to get mashed into the spun out by the banana peel, or you're going to collect an item. You can't do both. I'm totally that guy. I'm probably not a. Probably people don't want to play Mario Kart with me because I will do these annoying things. But it's the amusement that you players will get out of these kind of tracks and items is just infinite.
I think, like, you and I have never played a game together, but just Ghost Valley one, I have memories of that track, and it's hard. Like, it's
Yeah,
the like the ghost haunting, panicky
yeah,
music that
yeah.
gets you, like, it already like puts you in a heightened state of like panic,
Mm,
and then like it's very easy to kind of like slip off the edge and just keep
mm.
bumping off the
I don't,
edge.
I don't think it's quite as bad as say like Rainbow Road. Like
Oh no, nothing is.
the frustration of Rainbow Road. It's not, and probably the later Ghost Valley tracks in the OG entry are probably a bit more frustrating. Ghost Valley One is kind of a bit more balanced
Mm,
and very easy to hit that little shortcut in the middle of the track.
mm,
Stuff like that. But yeah, but I feel you. I know what you're saying though. Like it's definitely not not the friendliest track in the series. And I do like how it's got its different iterations over the course of the
mm.
generations. As they revisit the themes of that original entry and modernize them and that kind of thing, which is cool. I think.
Yeah, that is something the series does so well. Just like the new iteration, like in subsequent console generations, and you see what's changed or tweaked or improved on.
Yeah. So John, you got to tell me your favorite race. Like, do you have a main in terms of your racer?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of look post the Super Nintendo period. I go for Donkey Kong just because it's Donkey
Nice.
Kong. I think like I just found him too unwieldy, like as a heavyweight racer and with low acceleration.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just found that too hard, and I quite like Toad as well. I originally quite liked Yoshi, but then just the low speed got to me. So over
Mm.
time, I've kind of become accosted to my boy Donkey Kong just because I want him as many games as possible. But my favorite item is, I mean, I was saying to you off air that it's the red shell.
Ooh,
I think I stick with that
yeah,
because
it's
it
classic.
is like it's a classic. It's across the games, but I think the sense of satisfaction when you've got the red shell
Mm.
just feels great. You're like, it's scrolling through. You're in
Yeah.
third, fourth, fifth position. You're like, I want the red shell. I know the banana guy Johnny's up there and he's going to try and block it or whatever he's doing. But it just feels so good. And when they invented the triple red shell, that's just sick.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just rude. And on the flip side, it's so irritating. I think it's such a good council measure because when you are in first or second place, we all hate the blue shell, but the red shell is
Mm.
just like, oh, it's coming. Like there's a
Yeah.
chance you might block it or jump it. But it's pretty accurate and pretty annoying. So I think it's just so crucial to the franchise across all these console generations, which is amazing. So it's a red shell for me. And in terms of my favorite track, it has to be Shy Guy Falls, which we've got playing here, which I think
Nice.
it looks beautiful aesthetically, but so it's obviously like based in a mountain range, but the track is just so wild that you just like go up this like waterfall at one point. You're literally just going completely vertically, skid around like a bridge, and then you're going down a waterfall in the next part of it, and it like that rush and that sense of like what Mario Kart can do, and that's through the anti-grav racing in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is very cool. But apart from that, I just really like. I like that it's just got like a good design, like lots of turns. It doesn't have any kind
Yeah.
of filler, which some tracks are a bit plain or used to be
Mm.
plain in previous series.
Yeah.
And then the Shy Guy's got to stand out. Like I love Mario Brothers 2, and it's like, oh, we're looking at it into a bit of the Shy Guy subculture. So that's I like all jokes aside, I do like that. With the tracks with the Mario Kart games, you do see a bit more
Mm.
of like just that part of Mario World. Like even with like tracks like Donut Plains or
Yeah.
Yoshi's Circuit or Yoshi's Island and those kind of tracks, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of the Mario verse. And I think that one thing Nintendo does really well with like its sports games or its Paper Mario series is explore the core games, and you go, okay, there's more to it. This is what the Shy Guys do in their spare time. They go mine these blue crystals, obviously. Like not that there's a lot to read into there, but I do like they just expand on that as well. So that's up there with my favorite tracks. But yeah, well the Mario Kart series just has amazing tracks across the board. But let's go back to the start, Johnny. So we're going to cover like four in particular of our biggest and most favorite in the console series. We acknowledge there's so many other games, including like the mobile games.
Mm.
I might hold back on a few others for you to give a shout out later, Johnny. But there's a lot there, and there's even like an arcade game that Namco
True.
built with Nintendo that
Oh,
I've played, and
yeah.
it's actually really cool. Might
Yeah.
talk about that a bit later. But in terms of like where it all began, Johnny, take us back in time to like our childhood because it started somewhere, and you got to tell us about the first on
Yeah.
your list.
I think you've got to start at the beginning, which is where the early 90s, with the Super Nintendo Super Mario Kart. This is where it all began. Um, just to start off with, um, this, I think this sold like around 8.7 million units worldwide. And it was the fourth best Super Nintendo title in terms of sales of all time. I think only behind like I want to say Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country maybe,
Hmm.
and I think it might have been the All Stars bundle that was number 3, and this is number 4. So incredible performer. And as we touched on, um, the tracks in the original Super Mario Kart brought to life a bit more to life the world of Super Mario World. So Donut Plains, Bowser's Castle, um, and and it brought into the racing gameplay these items like mushrooms and lightning bolts and shells. Green and red only had green and red at this stage, but this brought the mayhem into the racing game. And even from the start, you had your racers with all their distinctive attributes. So you had Mario and Luigi, who are your all rounders, pretty balanced racers. You had Peach and Yoshi, who had like the best acceleration in the game, but their steering was a bit poor. And then you had Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr. It was Donkey Kong Jr. The developers specifically picked Donkey Kong Jr. because they thought he would be more recognizable than his dad from behind because of the singlet.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
there was a
Amazing.
specific choice choosing Donkey Kong Jr. for this original entry.
Mm,
And then, of course, you had Koopa Troopa and Toad, who had the best handling. But they didn't. They could be, because they were smaller carts. They could be a bit more easily like pushed aside in intense kind of races. I obviously back in the day spent a lot of time in Grand Prix mode, but also in the um, balloon battle mode, which I had so much fun with friends back in the day. It was just so much fun to race around shooting items at each other, trying to pop each other's 3 balloons. And this is a mode I've loved to revisit in all the different entries across the generations. I spent the last week or so with my Super Nintendo Mini playing through
nice.
Grand Prix mode. Still so much fun. Okay, the visuals aren't as advanced as later entries. Let's be honest.
Mm,
This game was developed in the very early '90s, maybe a little bit in the late '80s. Even the development might have started, I think. So, but in terms of the DNA of this game has carried through the generations. You can even see some of the elements of Mario Kart World in this original entry. Some basic kind of DNA there, of course. So, yeah, where else can you start but Super Mario
mm.
Kart?
Super like comprehensive, Johnny. Like that just brought back so many memories for me. Like personally thinking about how much like of the framework of the Mario Kart series was here and then has been carried on to future games. Even looking back at the footage here where it shows how you unlock like a special cup, and then the unlockables became like a key feature that hooks you into Mario Kart as a single player. Um, I think what's interesting is like what this game did really well at the time was it had like 2D racing in a 3D space, so to speak. Like they used the Mode 7 ability for the SNES, which we saw in games like F-Zero, and they did it successfully. Like it didn't really frame up, it didn't really crash, all those kind of things. It ran smoothly, and you could play 2 player. Like you could have 2 player sharing as well. It was just really cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was just going to say one other thing I forgot to mention is I love the music. The music
Oh yeah,
tracks that accompany all the races are just
yeah.
so like melodious and upbeat, and they fit each of the tunes that accompanies the races just fit the atmosphere. So Bowser's Castle has that Bowser, that Doom kind of theme.
Yeah.
But when you're racing down
Da,
the
da,
beach, you got
da.
this kind of happy tune,
Yeah.
like makes you feel kind of happy. You can't if you're ever feeling down in the dumps, play that beach track in the original Mario Kart. I think it's the first one in the Star Cup. You're gonna
Okay.
feel your mood lifted by that. No,
It it's funny
guarantee.
you say that too, because like I remember like going through the different cups, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of variety now, but back then it felt like there was,
Yeah.
and I remember going, oh no, shit, it's the ice one,
Mm.
like this is the slippery
Oh, that
one,
was
or this is
frustrating.
yeah, this is the ghost one, and you would
Yeah.
deliberately, when you'd play it over and over, you'd deliberately pick like the kind of like more easy, user friendly ones, particularly with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, with this with this game compared to the future games, you couldn't just pick the track you wanted; you had to go
No.
through like the
Mm.
whole group.
Mm.
Yeah, very very
That
cool.
ice
Like
track, that was my bogey track, the ice track, because I'd always run into the little ice blocks and have to keep like breaking them to get through. It was so frustrating. Yeah.
uh, it, it was it's interesting that you say frustrating because like I remember when we did our Super Nintendo special not that long ago and we did our
Mm.
Nintendo special. This is a game like I think for young gamers, like if you haven't played the Mario Kart series, I do think you can go back just to try it out and feel
Mm.
what it's like. Like
Yeah.
the driving holds up. It doesn't have things like the drift, proper
No.
drift. Like
No.
there are the mini jumps.
You
Um,
got a little bit of a drift function, by tapping the shoulder button, but it's not as
yeah,
advanced as what we got in later entries. That's true.
yes, like with the turbo boosts and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not as refined, but I think you can go back
Mm.
and experience it as a retro piece and still enjoy it if you can deal with those graphics, Johnny. Some tracks hold up better than others, like
Yeah.
the
True.
dirt
True.
tracks. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
with Super Mario Kart on the SNES, yeah, this was just everyone had this game when I was a kid, me included. It was just very cool, and not much has changed these days. Yeah. Did
So
sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, John, and I think you're going to talk next about an entry in the series that I haven't actually played because I missed the N64 completely. So tell us all about Mario Kart 64, John.
Yeah, so Mario Kart 64 was like the Mario Kart game I played a lot more of. So I played bits of Mario Kart on the SNES and had it, but it wasn't like my favorite SNES game. Mario Kart 64 was a different beast entirely. When this came out, this is something that all of my friends had and everyone I knew had. And this is when I felt like Mario Kart just went everywhere and what the Nintendo 64 was known for. And it was interesting because at that time the PlayStation came out, and I remember I was totally into the console wars. I was totally like, no, I'm a Nintendo person. And it was just because I'd had a Super Nintendo. So I was like, oh, now I'm going to buy the new one, and it's all 3D and it looks incredible. So while the footage doesn't look amazing now, certainly when this came out, it was absolutely revolutionary. We're finally going into like 3D polygons. It did look incredible at the time, and the track we're looking at here is like a kind of like a rendition of like Super Nintendo Donkey Kong moved into that 3D space. So the driving itself just felt a lot better. You actually felt like, oh, you're in a new, like a real true 3D space rather than that kind of 2D tight track focus, which still worked with the SNES, as we were saying. And then there were some really big features added. So first of all, 4 player was added. And if you sort of look back at the design of the Nintendo 64, Nintendo has always designed their hardware around their software in many ways. And this is certainly a game that took advantage of that. So for those of you unfamiliar with like the N64 controller, it was like this, but it had a middle bit with the joystick, and you would hold it like this. And it's kind of awkward looking back at it. It sounds awkward, but at the same time, it was super inventive and brought a lot of features to like modern consoles. So that ability to move in the 3D space is one of the biggest things, and it looked great. Yeah, the second big feature for me was really the 4 players. Split screen, nothing online at that time. So this is also a game that brought people together. Like I remember going to school and saying, we're going to your house. Like I didn't have Mario Kart 64, but one of my friends did, and we would just like we would go to their house and play it for ages. That and GoldenEye, both because they were 4 player games. It was just absolutely revolutionary. They also added a couple of new powers, an extra like proper Donkey Kong, from what I understand, like a grown-up Donkey Kong as well. But what probably the other like addition that I recall better is the mini boost. Finally, they like you could drift a bit more, and then you could boost off the drift as well, which is like a pretty big feature for these games. But yeah, it's in terms of what I recall, this is just like a really widely popular game. It looked great. I think I'm remembering correctly that it did include the question mark block that was the fake one. I might be remembering that incorrectly. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, Mario Kart 64. It was. It's hard to go back now. I wouldn't go back and play it now. I'd say go back and play the Super Nintendo version. But from an evolution perspective, absolutely fantastic. Johnny, did you ever see? I know you were saying you didn't play this game, but did you
Yeah,
see
so
anything about it? Or
obviously I'm familiar with it. I've seen
yeah,
gameplay of it, obviously, but the N64 was the Nintendo console I missed because around that time was when I got into my PC gaming. So
yeah,
I didn't play. I don't think I've actually ever played Mario Kart 64, but I'm fully aware of its significance in terms of where it took the series into the 3D realm.
yeah.
So important historically, but not a game I played back in the day for yeah, as I said, just was off my console gaming at the time of the N64 era.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it was one of that broad group of games that brought the gaming into the 64, like your Mario Kart 64, like Zelda Ocarina of Time. So it was like a legendary time to have the console at that point in time. And it was just like, this is going to be 3D and this is going to be
Mm.
3D. And it all looked gorgeous at the time. But these days, even I wouldn't go back and play it and genuinely enjoy it. It'd just be too hard. I'd probably do it more just for nostalgia. But Johnny, moving on, what is your next pick for our little Mario Kart series
So we're
console
gonna
showcase?
fast forward a little bit to 2008 and the Wii. And apologies to our GameCube Double Dash fans. That's an entry that I've, me and John probably haven't played as much. We're familiar with it, but not enough to really kind of deep dive on it. but we know a lot of people love their Double Dash entry in the series, and we're big GameCube fans here on the show more generally. But I'm actually going to take you forward to 2008 and the Wii and Wii Mario Kart Wii, and where we got Mario Kart with motion controls. Um,
Mm.
this was a big seller. This sold about 37 million units worldwide. This was a big one. It was the second best selling Wii game behind the ubiquitous Wii Sports. Um, so this was very successful. It introduced 32 different tracks to race on, and 24 different characters, plus two me options. And there were 18 different unique carts, and it also added the motorbikes. So there were 18 carts
Mm.
and 18 different motorbikes to choose from. Um, I quite like this entry. I've been playing it this morning before we started recording, John. It's a lot of fun. This entry also boasts the first appearance of a few fan favorites like Toad's Factory. I quite like this track. This might be my second favorite behind Ghost Valley, and it has all the different hazards that you'd expect if Toad was put in charge of a factory. I don't think the OH&S in Toad's Factory would be very good. Let's be honest. But yeah, I think Mario Kart Wii is great fun, and also Mario Kart Wii. We love our peripherals on the Perth Gaming Crew
Mm.
show, and
Yeah.
Mario Kart had the great steering wheel peripheral. I didn't actually own that back in the day, but you wouldn't necessarily need it to play it, but it was a
Mm.
nice little novelty. So yeah, I think I think I'll settle in this Easter long weekend for some Mario Kart Wii
Oh, nice.
with
Wow.
friends and family, as I'm hosting Easter this year. So we're gonna um, pig out and then chill out with some Mario Kart Wii, I think.
Sounds like a very good Easter indeed. Yeah, so I missed Mario Kart Wii. I didn't have a Nintendo Wii because by then I'd moved on to like the Xbox 360 and the PS3 type of games. And for me, I was getting to a point of like, oh, I've seen a lot of like Zelda, Mario Kart a lot. But I do remember then playing this at a friend's house and going, oh, it actually looks pretty good for a Wii game.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking the Wii was so underpowered, and I was like, I just can't enjoy it compared to these other consoles because I was more into like Halo and all that stuff. But yeah, it still maintains that fun factor of just like pick up and play, and even like this track, like Maple Valley, is beautiful. Like there's like a HD version of Mario Kart 8 now, but you can still see it looks really nice, really kind of elegant track design too. Johnny, what I wanted to ask you about was I tried the steering wheel and the joy and the Wii mode, I think it was called, but I was not into it. I know that it was like really important to Nintendo to have that changed experience, but for me, it didn't work, and I didn't feel like that was coming from a perspective of someone who's like, oh, I'm sick of Nintendo, I've grown out of Nintendo, I'm all on Xbox or whatever, and then later PlayStation. But it was just more like, oh, it was finicky to me. But for you who grew up like also with so many games, how did you find that steering wheel like experience? Did you use it? Did you think it worked well? How do you think it kind of transformed the game as well?
Look, I kind of dig the novelty of it. It is different. It's different from your controller experience of Mario Kart that we're
Mm,
probably more accustomed to now. I don't
mm,
know. I'm not sure if I'd want to go back to this kind of thing. But for its time, I mean, the Wii was just such a interesting period as an interesting generation for Nintendo, and like I said, Wii Sports was just so all over the show, all everywhere. You couldn't avoid it.
mm,
Um, and yeah, full motion controls. They had their time. I definitely think it's a it was a very accessible thing. You could pretty much
mm,
anyone could jump in and enjoy a game of Mario Kart with the steering using the Wii remote.
mm,
Um, but yeah, look, it had its time and day. I'm not sure I'd necessarily want to go back to that in the modern era,
mm.
but it was fun at the time.
Yeah, because it's interesting, and that just reminded me that with that direct last night, they showed like the Joy-Con steering. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's going to appeal to the Wii crowd, but I'm not
Yep.
sure if it's going to, how many people are going to go buy that package.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what happens there.
So
They love
true.
their history,
So
Nintendo.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving forward, sort of skipping forward, but sort of not,
Mm.
because after Mario Kart Wii, Nintendo rolled out with Mario Kart 8, and that was on the Nintendo Wii U, which nobody owned. Well, very few people
Very
owned.
small install base. Yeah.
Tiny install
Mm.
space, great game, as with many of the games on that system. So the next one in our series, and the final one from the console perspective, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, inclusive of DLC and also inclusive of that original framework. This is the Mario Kart that most people will be familiar with. This is, my understanding, is the best-selling Mario Kart of all time, in that it sold 40 plus million copies. And again, as I mentioned, like, people associate Nintendo with Zelda, with Pokemon, with Super Mario, Donkey Kong, whatever, Metroid. But the reality is, Nintendo, this is the backbone of Nintendo's business, and everyone plays Mario Kart. And this game has just been so phenomenally successful. It's hard to not talk about it. So, from a new features perspective, like Mario Kart 8, it essentially brought along anti-gravity racing. So your carts would transform, their wheels would transform, and you could now go like up the side of a wall and even on the roof in some courses, which is very cool because, when you come to new installments, you think, what else can they do? And there were some features that we had seen, like the glider come in, and you think, is there going to be flying? Is there going to be underwater? And there's a bit of that stuff that carried over. But anti-grav is really the new kind of feature. And what's kind of cool with it is that when you bump into someone else, you actually both get a speed boost. So it adds like a little micro kind of strategic element to the racing for more like experienced races as well. And also when you're on like the anti-grav tracks, you just feel a bit safer, so to speak. You're not going to get slowed down. In terms of like other features, there was a whole range of extra characters added, but characters and carts. But for me, what stood out is the items. So particularly the red horn, which you can use to like tell that blue shell to bugger off, because it's so useful. And I know getting that red horn is like, I'm holding on to that for the entire game. I just need to use that, like to use that horn, because it's like the best thing ever. We also got the piranha plant, which I think is like a lot of fun, just nipping at your friends at close range. That's quite clever. And then the boomerang flower is probably yet less less useful.
Mm.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also added dual item capacity, which I think was great because it just
Mm.
added another strategic ledger to go,
Yep.
okay, I'm going to set aside my coins for when someone hits me off the track, and then I'm going to use them.
Mm.
But then I'm going to save my green shells for when I'm in the lead to block carts and shoot them
Mm.
backwards, or if I'm in the middle zone, to start bouncing them off the walls and knocking people out. Of course, famously, when Mario Kart 8 came to the Switch, it was kind of a launch title, not quite. Like, it came out,
Mm.
I think, a month after launch.
Yep.
But it was like a new game, and I know Nintendo fans were kind of like, "Oh, okay, they've added, like, they've brought it across." And I remember seeing the reception was like, "Oh, it's good they've brought it across." There's a new battle mode which was missed, and I think that was an important inclusion. And some cosmetic updates too. But it was really not until, I'd say, what, mid-generation console, would you say, Johnny, for the Switch, that we finally saw Nintendo say, "Hey, this is our moneymaker. We're bringing out the DLC." And they rolled out that DLC on a periodic basis over about 2 years, or 1 or 2 years, and linked it in with the Nintendo Switch Online membership, where it was free for members, or it was paid, whatever suits and floats your boat. And I remember that also getting a bit of a lukewarm reception, but at the same time, this game had just such a huge fan base and such great mechanics. There's 3 or 4 versions of Rainbow Road, aren't there?
Yeah.
To add DLC was really smart. And some of the DLC tracks were tied into the Mario Kart Tour mobile version, and they didn't look as
Ah.
good. I remember the analysis that came out. It's like, oh, Mario looks a little
Mm.
GameCube-y. What's going on here? They're cutting corners. And I think that was a poor move on Nintendo's behalf, to be honest. I think they should
Mm.
have offered the same, like, parallel, like, experience and graphics. But that aside, the DLC is gorgeous. Like, I mean, for me, like, I really love the look of the Yoshi's Island track. Like, the art style is bang on for that game from the SNES era. And then, of course, a lot of the DSL tracks included like the cities across the world that people are familiar with. I think there's a Madrid track, for example, and Bangkok. So, like, a lot of the biggest cities or capital cities are represented. Sydney over
Mm.
Canberra, but I wouldn't blame them for that.
No, it's got to have the global recognition. So yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, what about you, Johnny? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. By then, I do know that a lot of the bigger features were included in the Wii. So, how did you feel about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch
I
coming
got
off like the quality of Mario Kart Wii?
Oh no, I totally got into Mario Kart Deluxe and got the booster course pass. Yeah, this is a highlight of the Switch generation. Um, so many fun tracks. I'm a big fan of that Zelda-inspired track where you go
Oh
around
yeah,
collecting
coins of
rupees instead of
rupees.
coins. Yeah.
Yep.
No, there's so much to love about Mario Kart Deluxe, and that's what makes Mario Kart World even more impressive, that they're able to top Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because it's been an amazing game. It looks
Mm,
like they will top it, but remains to be seen, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing, amazing. It's a must-have in your Switch library. If you haven't
Mm,
played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on your Switch, what are you doing? You've got to get into it. Get into it
yeah.
before the next entry.
Yeah, I found myself replaying it just in the lead up to the new entry, and it's interesting because I've done a few tracks over the last week and really enjoyed that, and then I got to a point of like, oh, but now I'm ready for something new, and thinking there are players who've been playing this on and off for what 7-8 years since the Switch is released, who are more than ready for something new. So exciting times ahead. But that covers like the big four that we wanted to cover across the home based consoles. Johnny, I know you wanted to give out a couple of honorable mentions, like just in terms of the series as a whole.
Yeah, just honorable mentions, really. We wanted to say we obviously haven't covered every single entry in the series because there are so many entries. We've already mentioned mobile, but there's also many entries in the exclusively handheld modes, handheld consoles like your DS and 3DSs, etc. If we were to cover them all, I think we'd be doing a 3 hour show.
Mm.
But I did want to give one special honorable mention, and that is to Mario um, Home Circuit, Mario Kart Live Home
Mm.
Circuit, which
I'd forgotten
came
about this game.
which came these came out in like I think around 2020,
Mm.
and they came with these Mario and Luigi carts. I can't remember if they released any other characters for these, but it's like a augmented reality where you look. Nintendo loves any opportunity to sell us cardboard, um, and any chance they get, they'll do it. But the fun this instance, I was okay with it because what it allowed you to do is set up a Mario Kart track around your house, and you the the Luigi guy, he's got a little camera above his head, and as he follows through the course on your Switch, whether you've got it docked or you're in handheld mode, you can see the kind of augmented reality that course that Mario or Luigi is passing through. And if you've got a friend who's got he's got another one, like we had friends. Family friends who had a Mario, and we'd get the kids together and they'd be playing Mario and Luigi racing through a track. It was great fun, great novelty. Not quite a mainline entry in the game series, but still worth mentioning, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. And it was an interesting product because there was a cost to it, and you kind of need a big outdoor indoor area to play it to some extent to drive those carts around when some people don't.
Yeah,
But a really cool experiment from Nintendo and a nice little like memorial piece, I'd say, Johnny. Interesting that they looked into the augmented reality stuff at the time.
yeah, it was definitely a novelty.
Yeah. I do want to mention Double Dash quickly, just
Ooh, yeah.
because, yeah, so one of our own very people of Perth and beyond wanted us to bring this one up. Double Dash, without going into detail, was the GameCube installment. It was more refined than Mario Kart 64, and the big feature was like being able to swap between the
Mm,
two characters. I will say for myself personally that Look, by then I felt like the enhancements weren't as good compared to like the N64 version, but it looked really cute. It had some fantastic track design. It was really quite well received, and there were a couple of other tweaks to it. But yeah, without going into detail, one of our own very people of Perth and beyond did let us know that this was their favourite game. And they were quite excited to talk about Baby Park. So this one's for you, Fergus. Baby Park is a pretty cool level. You can do like it's just a circle, but it's nuts. Like it's very misleading that you just like go as like frenetically as you can and throw as many items as you can to get through. So yeah, we don't forget the lesser known games like Mario Kart. Double Dash and was it World Circuit, Johnny, the augmented reality one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mario Kart Live home circuit. Yeah.
Oh, live home circuit.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's all we have time for today on our Mario Kart series spotlight. Hope you really enjoyed it. I have got an unexpected question for you, Johnny. After coming off that direct and in the lead up to
Ooh.
the Switch 2, knowing now that this is bundled with the Switch 2 and you've seen pretty much all there is to reveal about Mario Kart World. One, does this make you want to buy a Switch 2 more? And two, do you see yourself buying this new Mario Kart game at some point, no matter what?
I kind of think, yeah, to answer question two first, because that's the easier one. I
Yeah.
see myself wanting to play Mario Kart at some point. Like, there's nothing better than having a few mates over, having a few drinks, and then mucking around Mario Kart. But I honestly am very intrigued by this open world mode because that's very new. That's a new thing. That's not something we've had before. And
Mm.
even things like, you go and eat something and then suddenly you've got a
Yeah.
costume. Like,
You've
I can't.
changed your clothes into Golf Mario or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's right. I
Hard
mean,
pass.
that's just
It's
so zany. Yeah,
mm.
so I think I want to play this at some point. Now, financially responsibly, Johnny says, no, don't go and pre-order the Switch 2 with Mario Kart bundled.
Mm.
But Johnny that likes to play Mario Kart is like,
Mm.
hell yeah, I'm getting in on this. So I'm a bit torn. I'm trying to resist the allure and temptation of this bundle,
Mm.
but yeah, I'm probably still on the fence. Uh, I think, as I said in our previous episode, all Nintendo
Mm.
has to do is give us a date for Metroid
Yeah.
Prime, and I'm at the shops. I'm with my
Yeah.
money, going, take my money. I'm here for this. But Mario Kart on its own isn't quite enough for me to like hand over that large amount of cash that they're asking. Um, but I'm not really in the drop the price chat crowd either.
Mm.
So I'm like,
Mm.
I kind of acknowledge it's a luxury item, and um,
Mm.
I know I'm going to pick it up, but it'll be at the time that the things that I'm looking for are all there, and they're not quite there yet. It
Mm.
still feels a bit too early days. But
Mm.
yeah, the seeing more of Mario Kart World has definitely increased the. I'm a bit more wobbly on the fence than I was 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
John. What
The
about you?
tracks.
Does that has the has seeing this changed
Mm.
your kind of feeling about this at all, or are you pretty much where you
It's
were?
definitely moved me towards like buying the Switch 2, particularly thinking that it's bundled inside and going, look, I know I'm going to buy Mario Kart, and if I buy it as a bundle, I'm going to save $30 or $40
Yeah, it's
potentially, which is
significant, isn't it? Yeah.
it is. It is. It's like, well, if I'm going to do it anyway, I might as well do it now. And there is so much content in this game that you could be happy with the old console days where you just have your one game and play it for 3 months or 2 months and showcase it and play it in handheld when you catch up. All of those things, and that's the genius of Nintendo and this bundle and the Mario Kart series. I think the tracks are looking wickedly good.
Yeah.
I'm less keen on the in between segments because I don't
Uh,
feel like I need a race in between a race. But
mm,
the actual, for me, the star of Mario Kart games personally is the track design and just looking at it and then trying to pay attention, but going, oh, but this looks amazing. And then I guess being able to see that off road would be cool. So I think all it would take is that Metroid Prime bump or like a
mm,
Joy-Con bump around Prime
yeah.
or
Yeah.
or just like seeing what they whip out with their June Direct. And once there's a solid lineup of like say 3 or 4 games, it's Switch
Mm,
2 exclusive and go, yeah, it's Black Friday, it's Christmas. Let's get that
yeah.
Mario Kart bundle That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, but anyway, people of Perth and beyond, we had a great time. We always do. Again, you're always welcome to come and join us on the podcast if you're interested. Please let us know on the website at perthgamingcrew.com. Check us out on Insta. We have got so much more to cover. This is a really exciting year for us. There's so much coming up. We can't wait to get through it. But in terms of this weekend, we hope everyone has an absolutely wonderful Easter break. Take some time off with your friends, family, or yourself, and just go play Mario Kart, eating pizza, or whatever you enjoy.
Yeah,
Any
and
final words from you, Johnny?
yeah, just a big thank you to all the viewers from Perth and beyond who've been subscribing to the channel and following us on Instagram. There's been a few new follows in the last couple of weeks. We really appreciate you. We hope you're enjoying the content, and it drives us to do more and more. So no, big thanks to the people of Perth and beyond.
Awesome. Well, have a great Easter break, and we'll catch you in a fortnight. See you later.